Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion, Place of Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. Dude, we can't rely on every run to be like our last run. That's unrealistic. Yo, this is an interesting one though. JP6V BJNW. Not even gonna talk about what the acronym stands for on the bottom there. 28 rate of fire, 2.95 damage. Now, of course, oh god, get me out of there. Of course, the thing about 28 rate of fire is that every time we shoot, we fire 4 shots. So it might seem like that's effectively a 7 rate of fire. I don't believe that. Dude, how could I not take 2 spider-related items? I think it's probably closer to like a 9 or 10 rate of fire, which is not that bad. What do I mean by, it's like, I don't want to bore you with Isaac minutia, but it does give us a jumping off point for today's episode. Essentially, we're not going to hit with all 4 shots. So it's not like every shot lands 4 times. Every shot probably lands 2 or 3 times. Somewhere between a 9 and 14 rate of fire. And I'd probably lean closer towards 9, honestly, because we have the chance to hit the other enemies, or multiple enemies with the same barrage. So, got to build in a little fudge factor there. Now, what are we looking for? This is a big one. We are really, HP is a problem. It would be nice to get HP. It would also be very nice to fight, okay, that was a little spooky. It'd be very nice to fight famine. Get a cube of meat, use our orbital, to basically make 1 out of 2 rooms extremely easy. I would accept some bombs, you know, to help me open the stone chest there, get access to the secret rooms. But yeah, it's not spooky for sure. I know what you're thinking. Use the pause button. And I did. Help? There's no way out, dude! Okay, once the creep is gone, everything is okay. We will almost certainly take the ability to fly. But, yeah, dude, like this, it sucked pretty bad, right? I don't think I'm, Oh my god! Sorry, pause button. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do. That sucked. The only thing I'm willing to say, and I think that was very prudent, is we could have made things easier on ourselves. We should shoot all this to try to get a spirit heart. We could have made things easier on ourselves by not getting hit like 2 rooms before the boss. I think it's very unreasonable to suggest we could have just not been hit on the boss. I don't think that that's a real criticism. That boss, you know, in the combination that we had going on there, I don't know if there was a way for us to guarantee not getting hit. Especially the tiny room is devastating. I'm not messing with you, you know, just to have lived is pretty nice. But we got some catching up to do in a variety of different categories right now. HP is definitely the biggest problem, obviously. So I'm actually going to check back here, and it's mostly, you know, if there was a spirit heart for sale for 3 cents, we could have made an effort to get to it. At least we can fly. Like, we would have been in much greater trouble if we hadn't taken the ability to fly. Seeing that room 10 times would have destroyed us. So thank God we have some spirit hearts. I am willing to take these pills, believe it or not, but I think we should wait until there's no enemies on the screen. What can I say? My resilience didn't last too long there. But I also, in my head, I was like, what if it's lemon mishap? Wait, well, really, what if it's anything that does damage? Are you telling me with 3 large creatures on one room. I'm counting myself in there. Nobody got hit by any of the explosive diarrhea bombs. A little surprising is all I'm gonna say. I don't really want to fight the boss yet. I would really like to see what we got going on in our item room. And, you know, if we get super lucky, we might not even have to do the big room on the way back. Or we'll get something good enough in the item room to make the big room, like, way less of a concern. Or we'll do the big room immediately because, you know, it's a cruel joke. We so easily... Like, if I had been a betting man, I would have bet at even odds for us to have lost on the last floor or this floor up until this point. So, you know, I wouldn't say vindicated, like the Spider-Man 2 soundtrack by Dashboard Confessional, but I would say, like, relatively happy with the way things have gone, believe it or not. And, you know, Lil whatever his name is, I can't even remember. Oh, no. Lil Monstro is actually pretty good, but not as good as something that's better, by definition. Well, we're probably gonna get 1 reroll. His name is Reroll, I don't think he understands. We're taking Rainbow, baby, even though it is not so ideal. That's not how that goes. Well, what do I want to see? It's actually not that bad. Larry Jr.? Dangle? Oh, God. I walked into an enemy. It's hard for me to be mad about that one. What I want to see is Abaddon. Abaddon, 9 lives, mysterious robes, packed, probably marked, or not marked, sorry, the mark. Oh, hi, the mark. You guys see any great so bad it's good movies lately? I have not. I haven't seen a quality. Yo, let's go. Thank God. I haven't seen a quality so bad it's good movie in what feels like years, man. I used to be such a purveyor of garbage goods, you know? I've seen them all. Troll 2, Birdemic, The Room, obviously. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's many, many more. The Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Did you know there's a movie called Santa's Sleigh? I really thought we could make that happen. And I actually will go to bat for this movie as being... it's a B movie, obviously, but I think it's actually pretty good, believe it or not. It's called Santa's Sleigh. And it's in the genre that's very esteemed of what if your childhood, you know, legends existed, but they were monsters, you know? Another good example is a movie I saw in theaters for one of my friend's 13th birthday parties called Darkness Falls from the year 2000 and... I'm gonna say that's a 2003 movie. Like January 2003, and that movie was just like, hey, what if the Tooth Fairy killed you? I still don't. I mean, there's tons like that, you know. I'm trying to remember now. Is Thanksgiving a real movie where, you know, there's like the Thanksgiving turkey kills you, or is that one of the Grindhouse trailers? It might be one of the Grindhouse fake trailers, but anyway. You know, Santa's Sleigh is like that. Bill Goldberg, WCW and WWE wrestler Bill Goldberg, plays Santa Claus, and he's mad. All I'm gonna tell you, if you've never seen it, I still think that movie is pretty funny, and that's kind of what it's going for. It also stars Chris Kattan, at least in the opening scene, aka Corky Romano. Anyway, In the ultimate, you know, showdown, Santa and the lead character's grandfather play each other in a Charlie Daniels Band style curling match to determine the fate of the souls of the protagonists. If that doesn't interest you, I don't know what will, man. I bring this up, by the way. Hold on, we've seen the shop. Oh, no, we've seen the item room. We don't need to see the shop. I bring this up, by the way, because, you know, I was thinking the other day about Tommy Wiseau, right? And I felt this way about the director of Birdemic, too, and I can't remember his name right now. But The Room is, if you've never seen it, I'm sure you're familiar with it at this point, has become, you know, it's a meme, but it's also extremely well known. You know, it's the best, worst movie ever made, probably. And I think it's worse in better ways than a movie like Troll 2, which is also hilarious. But the real... It's cruel to say this, I want to make that clear, but it's also the spirit of what makes The Room so enjoyable. And I think, you know, I've read the book, The Disaster Artist. I read that when it came out, because I was part of the, you know, I was really into The Room, and I don't want to say like I was one of the first, because that's not true. But, you know, back in like 2008, 2009, 2010, I used to watch that movie like, you know, probably once a week with friends of mine in college. So, you know, I was there at the first Cannes show in Cologne. What do we got? Hagalis, dude. That's a good opportunity. Didn't work out there. Anyway, what makes The Room so special is the fact that Tommy Wiseau poured his heart and soul into the film. It's the move... Oh, I was trying to hit this button. What makes the movie so special is that it's a sincere attempt at quality, heartfelt movie making that falls flat on its face. It's Napoleon Dynamite doing the Jamiroquai dance, but failing, you know? Every movie that, and anything Tommy Wiseau has worked on since then, has shown evidence that, and I don't mean this from like a rudeness standpoint specifically. You're not going to see me take this item too much. But as soon as Tommy realized, and it's probably better for him this way, because instead of people laughing at him, he's kind of like part of the joke, right? Now that he's come to realize the fact that people are kind of mocking him when they watch The Room, and nobody, like literally 0% of the population is watching it and going, you know, oh, there's the seeds of a great story being told here. Everybody is laughing at him the whole time. He has... It's ruined. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. You know, there was some really weird stuff came out. You know, like Machinima used to have a show called The Tommy Y Show. And I don't even... that was, as far as I'm concerned, the closest thing to Tommy Wiseau being back on The Room level. He got kidnapped. That was the premise of the story, is he got kidnapped by an alien. And the alien, in order to get his freedom, he forced him to play new releases of video games. I swear that this is all real. If you weren't there in 2012, 2013, the zeitgeist of YouTube where there was just... I don't know, too much money and not a whole lot of sense. A lot of weird stuff got made, and some of it is just incredible. So, you know, you end up with these scenes of, like, Tommy Wiseau playing Mortal Kombat 8. And just watching him interface, dude, we can't afford to take the speed down, honestly. Watching him interface with a digital product and then just say whatever popped into his head was... the closest we got to The Room after that. But now he's, you know, he and Greg Sestero, they're doing like irony stuff now. Is like, you know, they're making more movies, but nobody expects them to be good because he's making them to try to be funny. But nobody watched The Room because he's funny without being rude. They watched The Room because him trying to be serious was hilarious. You know, it's a tragic story, right? He got famous for being really bad at something he was very passionate about. How do you recapture that? Because you can't, you know, it's kind of an ego hit, right? Like, imagine you're like, oh, I think I'm an amazing painter. I think I'm the best painter in the world. And then you became really, really infamous for being an awful painter, but people still wanted you to paint more so they could laugh at your failure. You know? That's tough, dude. I got sympathy. At least on the level, you know, like as a creator. I'm not saying I understand. I'm just saying, like, I could see how that would mess with you. And then what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to be like, ha 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 ha, yeah, I suck, haha, I'm in on the joke, guys? Or are you supposed to, you know, grit your teeth and, you know, put your heart and soul into your next project, knowing that it could come out and, in all likelihood, will probably just be, you know, received badly again? I don't know, man. I'm not saying, like, you know, well, be nice to Tommy Wiseau, because Lord knows I've made fun of The Room enough for one lifetime, but, like, I'm just saying, it's got to mess with you. How do you have a career in the industry you want to have a career in after that? You know, do you continue being the court jester? The people don't even want you to be the court jester. They're like, no, try to make something serious again. No, the stuff you make that's attempting to be funny is not funny. And, I mean, it isn't, in my opinion. But, you know, it's I don't want that stuff. I want the stuff where you were trying to be serious, but screwed it up. It's a weird thing. I feel for him in that sense, at least. And yeah, you know, having read the book The Disaster Artist, I also, you know, some of the stuff that he is purported to have done in that book is very manipulative and not nice. Let's go see our item room first. And I think that the movie The Disaster Artist, you know, it kind of does the story a disservice, although I understand it might have been one of the preconditions of it getting made in the first place. But, you know, by, they kind of wrap up the story with a nice bow on the end. That's like, and everybody lived happily ever after. And I was like, that's not the interpretation I got, but what do I know? Anyway, you seen any So Bad It's Good lately? You know what one of my favorite So Bad It's Good movies is? I will vouch for this any day of the week. It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie called The Happening, starring Mark Wahlberg and Zooey Deschanel, John Leguizamo. Everybody, I think, at this point that has an interest in So Bad It's Good movies has seen this movie or has heard of it at least. But the premise of the film is, you know, mankind has been very rude to the planet Earth. But now, the planet Earth is fighting back. It's a little bit like Bird Box, I guess, in the sense that, you know, the plants are emitting some kind of, let's just call it a pheromone, even though that's biologically inaccurate. Some kind of pheromone that when you imbibe it, or ingest it, it makes you commit suicide. So, you know, it's like a Twilight Zone episode at first, and I mean that in the most positive way possible, that quickly becomes unbelievably ridiculous. And Mark Wahlberg as a science teacher trying to unravel this. That is a movie that I still to this day, I've come to the realization that, I've come to the conclusion, I should say, that M. Night Shyamalan really did make this movie sincerely. He wanted the movie to be good. But the first time I saw it, I went, I don't know. I really don't know if maybe he was trying to make a So Bad It's Good movie and he like tricked the studio into funding it. Maybe, maybe not. It's hard to believe that it is not intentionally bad, but anyway. Honestly, I feel like I've said no to Forget Me Now a lot recently, but Forget Me Now is tough because it takes up our spacebar item slot, which we really need to have an acceptable amount of speed since we took Thunder Thighs. But anyway, this run has gotten great, and I'm very appreciative considering where it started and where it was relatively recently. You know, we managed to make this happen. Yes, I don't think we'll take anything else here. I think it's... We shouldn't be at risk, but why risk it? And you know what? I'm pretty dumb. We shouldn't have... Who cares about money equals power? When you have this much power to begin with. Anyway, The Happening is an extremely watchable bad movie. Some movies are just, you know... I'm a firm believer there's multiple different kinds of bad movies. There are bad movies that are good enough to watch over movies that... Let me put it this way. There are a lot of bad movies I find more watchable than movies that are essentially objectively good. Like, for example, I would rather watch The Happening again over, you know, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I've seen The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I certainly do not think it's a bad movie. I think it's a workmanlike film, competently done, and you know, with solid performances. Hello, Ruka. You got a meow for me to prove that I'm not talking to myself? Ruka. He's rubbing himself against the door. No meows though. The meows will come in a bit. But you know what I mean? Like, there are bad movies that I do not want to watch again. I'll tell you, and I'm not trying to pile on to the DC extended universe or cinematic universe, but Suicide Squad was on TV this weekend. I watched like 20 minutes. I turned it off. I just went, you know, it's not that I think it's the worst movie ever made or it's a crime against film, whatever. I was just like, it's boring, and I mean, it's not a movie that's made for me, and that's okay. You know, if you liked it, I'm happy to see it, and you know, I don't know, we'll see what they do with the sequel. I know that sounds like I'm a captive audience, but there's been some personnel changes, you know, so who knows where the world might take them. But you know, that's a movie that I was just like, that's a bad. And when I say bad movie, I mean, I think it's a bad movie, not that it's objectively bad. So, you know, I'm not trying to hate on anybody's taste, but for me, I think that's a bad movie I never want to see again. But there's a lot of another good example, by the way, Second Pacific Rim. Watched an hour of that on TV like a month ago and went, this is just garbage, dude. This is just this is a mess. And I'm one of the people who and you can go back if you really want to be a detective, you know, go back to like 2014. I saw Pacific Rim in theaters, liked it a lot, and have continued to defend it up until the release of the second Pacific Rim. And in the second Pacific Rim, when I saw it, I was like, this is truly terrible. But there's movies that are bad, and then there's movies that are bad, but such spectacular failures that they're incredibly entertaining to watch. I can't think of any more modern examples recently. It's hard, too, because, you know, I don't always think critics do a great job of pointing these movies out. Like, if you go read reviews of The Happening from, like, 2008 when it came out, or 2009, the critics' reviews are like, it's really bad. And I'm like, that's doing that movie such an incredible injustice. How can you watch The Happening and write a review that's just like, it sucks? You have to, in the review, talk about how, like, the manner in which it sucks, because it's so unusual for a movie to suck in the way that The Happening sucks, that it transcends a lack of quality and actually becomes, like, brave in its own unique way. Let me put it this way. You know what's a good metaphor for this? Or comparison, at least? Maybe not a metaphor, but the way I would look at it is Star Wars, The Phantom Menace versus Star Wars, Attack of the Clones. Phantom Menace, bad movie. Funny reasons why. Attack of the Clones, bad movie. Resident Sleeper Snorefest. Now, I'll still go on the record and, you know, I've said, as bad as Attack of the Clones is, I still think The Phantom Menace is worse, but I would probably rather watch it than watch Attack of the Clones again. Anyway, I mean, I'm preaching to the converted, I'm sure, but might as well toss this down, see what you get. It's a trip to Shoal. Run is going A-okay. I got very few things to complain about, truth be told. I didn't even see that that was a tinted rock, so I got even less things to complain about. Except for the fact that I can't find the friggin' boss room, dude. And I know you're like, NL, please, don't get NL started on Trials again. I feel, sometimes I finish an Isaac episode, I don't think, like, I crossed the line in talking about Trials. But sometimes I finish an Isaac episode and I'm like, man, did I really, like, talk about loot boxes in Trials for 22 minutes of improv? Like, that's almost concerning. Like, that's, hey, how do you feel about the tax code? Oh, I don't know. Hey, how do you feel about loot boxes in Trials? Let me give you an incredibly complicated metaphor using Don Norman as a source. You know, like, it's like a caricature of gamers. Which I am. But regardless, you know, sometimes you just finish an Isaac episode and you go, I wish I'd talked about something else for part of that. Not because I, like, I'm worried about blowback, because I don't think there's going to be... It's the most disingenuous thing you can say in this industry, is be like, you know, I don't like loot boxes. Downvotes? Really? You know, people are going to be on your side. Loot boxes are not a popular thing, unless you're Dan. Yikes. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, you ever just, like, you know, send an overly long message in, like, a group text or something like that, and then when you look at the message, like, as soon as you hit send, you're like, I sent that for me. Nobody, like, immediately you're just kind of, like, a little ashamed of yourself. You're like, I typed all this out. Nobody but me cares about it that much. Like, you almost want to send it and then 3 seconds later be like, I'm sorry I sent it. That was, like... You want to put, like, a but nobody cares lull at the end of it, just to make sure, you know, you're all on the level with one another. That's how I felt at the end of the last Isaac episode. Which, I will point out, was, like, you know, under half an hour ago at this point, so... Still suffering that psychological hit. Sounds a little entitled. You know what I'd like to see on this run, though? Is a respawn. Of course, if I could just get a... You think that'll work? Yo, I didn't know we could just shoot over it and land them inside. That's a dream come true. I thought you had to go in there and shoot, so it was like it was a test. Yo, this is amazing. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. Suffice to say, I'm not actually mad at Trials. If anything, I'm mad about the fact that I don't enjoy the new Trials as much as I thought I would. Because maybe it's a product of, you know, when I came of age. But Trials HD and Trials Evolution are like two sacred games for me. Those, and it's because I grew up, for sure, I can, you know, reverse engineer this influence on myself easily. Figure out where it came from. It's because, you know, when I was like 18, 19, 20, 21, Xbox Live Arcade was where, you know, the marquee indie games of the time came out. Of which Trials HD and then later Trials Evolution were a couple of them. You know, so those games have like a pure... They're like deified in my mind. And then Trials Fusion, when I played it, I was like, it's still fun, but it has lost some of the magic. And Trials Rising, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what's changed. Has it been the game or has it been me? Because I'm having fun, but I don't feel as compelled to drive my motorcycle as much as I used to. I'm not sure if I changed or the game changed or the world changed, you know? But who knows? It's still, you know, it's good, but I'm complaining about essentially nothing. Just waiting on that Sekiro life, dude. I forgot what it's like, you know? It's been... What was the last Souls game? It was Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3 definitely came out in, like, 2015? I'm pretty sure... I think it was 2015. It seems weird, though. Hold on. Dark Souls 3. It was 2016. Yo, that was not that long ago, actually. Because Bloodborne was 2014. I remember. Was Bloodborne 2015? Now I'm losing it. Bloodborne. 2015. Yo, my years are all messed up. See, this is what, you know, I wouldn't say is necessarily a product of getting older, but it's like, trying to think of the best way to describe it. If you ask me what year, you know, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective came out, I got you. You ask me what year Bloodborne came out, I'm like, I don't know, I got it narrowed down to within 3 or 4. Even though it's within recent living memory. Anyway, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective is 1992. Let me fact check that. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective is 1994. You know what, buddy? Apparently, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. So, you know, I gotta get 364,000 flashcards made before I go on to Jeopardy. But you know, on Jeopardy, they wouldn't be like, what year did this movie come out? They would be like, this 1994 film starring a coiffed Canadian as a veterinarian of the Sherlock Holmesian variety. Who is Ace Ventura: Pet Detective? Alrighty then. Anyway, you know, it's again the danger of false memory, because I was like, you know, we moved to our current location in like March 2015, and in my head I have accessible memories of playing Dark Souls 3 in my old apartment, which is not possible because it came out a year after we moved. And I have memories of playing Bloodborne in our new place, which actually, now that I think about it, those are not false memories, those are real memories. But yeah, in my head, I'm like, I know for certain that I did not play Dark Souls 3 in my old apartment, because it's temporally not possible. And I think this is where some people end up being, no dude, that's the parallel dimension. That's the Berenstein Bears Mandela effect. No. Come on. But, you know, in my head, I have a memory. I have a snapshot of a scene where I was sitting at my old desk playing Dark Souls 3. And I had the XSplit logo still over the video because XSplit had not auto-renewed my license. So they put like the recorded with XSplit thing in the corner, and I got really mad. Ah, crap, dude. I've hit all the buttons. I'm dead. I'm dumb. I'm dumb and dead. So deserved. Well, anyway, should have just walked through the center, dude. But then what are you supposed to do? When one envy shows up, you're going to panic and step on more buttons. I hate it. For now, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I'm in a real slump, Isaac-wise. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya!